Episode 13.
Boom! It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be super.
We've got a bit of a once-off comedy routine for you.
Exclusive comedy right here.
Cool. We're going to give you updates on MH370 as usual.
Did they find it? Did they not?
What's with Tony Abbott winking all the time? What's that? He shouldn't be doing that. Okay. Shooting, stabbing, resenting woman. Kevin's got a movie review.
It's a super movie, and you're going to enjoy that one. Just stick around for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's an interesting, uplifting tale that I want to tell you that's happened.
And then I'll give you a movie review.
Yep.
Preview, it involves Lance Armstrong.
Yep. And if you like Asian pop or K-pop or any kind of manufactured musical mayhem, I'm going to dip into that as well.
Yep.
And a very special Dumb and Dusted for this week, which we won't tell you about, but you'll enjoy it. So just stick around.
Welcome. Pull over.
Man, these shows all suck.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
We could do better than this. Hey, let's do it.
Hey!
Episode 13, 1.
Welcome. Welcome back.
This is going to be a special opening because Matt is going to take it with a solo little run, and I'll be back in just a minute.
Awesome. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Fiog, episode 13, and the reason I'm going to do... Should I just, stay offside here, or should I, because the microphone's not really, positioned properly. Will they hear me okay if I'm over here?
Yeah, let's do this.
Alright, sweet. So, 2 seconds, guys, sorry. That's centered enough. Hey! Alright, so, what we're doing today, at the start of the show, I've got a gig coming up, in a couple of days, and it's going to be for a, anti-whaling, cause. We're raising money against, whaling. So this chick hooked me up with a gig, and I thought it would be kind of funny if I did, something related to whales. And I ended up writing something that's kind of, ironically anti-whales, I guess. So I wanted to basically, take this opportunity to actually record it. And, by the way, doing a stand-up thing just in front of a camera, is not really a good way to practice. But the reason I wanted to do it was so I'd have the material on tape for her that I could send her once it's uploaded, and she can, let me know if it's gonna fly or not, how much sense of humor and irony, really, that, whaling activists have. I don't know many, so I don't know what their kind of limits are. So I'm gonna do that to the camera, and Kevin's gonna be a generous audience member. Thanks, Kev.
Oh, that was a good one.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I guess here it goes. So just imagine I'm up on stage and I'm at a anti-whaling benefit, alright? So I'll be alright, so thanks for having me. My name's Matt, and I'm here to why am I holding an imaginary microphone? I'm here to help raise money to stop whaling. Even though they haven't really done anything for me. The thing about whales, they're amazing, they're majestic, but let's face it, they are kind of ungrateful. Especially those ones they have at SeaWorld. I watched this documentary recently called Blackfish, and basically it was about this killer whale in SeaWorld called Tilikum. Now check this out, right? Back in the 80s, Tilikum's he's swimming around in Iceland, and it's really cold over there, so I imagine he's ooh, this fucking sucks. But then, these awesome people from SeaWorld come along, and they're hey, Tilikum, come to Canada, it's still pretty cold, but we'll give you fish and stuff, and Tilikum's sweet, throw me a net. And so, they take Tilikum to SeaWorld, and, he's doing tricks, and he's getting fish, and he's having the time of his life. But then, one day, this 20-year-old student, she falls into the tank. Yeah, and I know, how, in the news sometimes you see stories about, people drowning in the ocean, and, a dolphin or an orca will, save them and bring them to the surface and save their lives. That's not how Tilikum rolls, alright? He just straight up kills her. And I know what you're thinking. You're a whale kills a 20-year-old student, Here comes the harpoon. But no, they just transferred him, alright? They sent him over to Florida, where the climate's hot and so are the women, They basically gave him a promotion. They're worse than the Catholic Church. Anyway, so he goes over to Florida and he becomes like the main attraction, you know. He's doing tricks, he's getting fish for days, like all-you-can-eat buffet, living the life. And then he ends up killing another dude. Now, the thing with this guy, right, to be fair, he did like hide out and wait until the park was closed, and then he like deliberately like jumped into the tank on. He kind of had it coming, but still, I mean, Tillicum was brutal. Like, after the guy was dead, he bit off his dick, like cold. All right, but I guess they just like wrote that up as teenage angst, and they kept him. And then a few years later, he ended up decapitating another trainer. You notice how I didn't even go into detail about that one? Like, this whale is such a murderous maniac that if you start to get bored of the details after you... Like, if I talked about every single limb he's removed from a human being, we would be here all night. Anyway, my point is... well, I guess my point is that whales are great, but some of them are cunts. And so you should all give generously and hope that the money goes towards saving the ones that are nice. Thank you. And then I'll get off the stage. Thanks, Kevin. Cheers. Again, it's always awkward doing stand-up comedy in a room for one person. And, to be honest, like, I don't think it's the funniest shit I've ever written, but I thought it would be, like, textually funny, like, you're saying that shit. Like, you know, in a kind of raising for, like, so, in that, I probably wouldn't do it on any other gig, but I figured for that gig it might be perfect. Or it could also be, like, the opposite of perfect. So I'm going to send this to Jo, and she can look at that, and my delivery will be better when I have an audience in front of me, I'm sure, and I've like kind of practiced a little bit. But let me know if like you think the kind of material there is going to go over fine, or if it's going to take it delivery. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I have like better transcripts for it's kind of a stretch. Yeah. I wrote it the night before. Anyway, that well, obviously to get updated. Oh, okay. They still haven't found it. Oh well. Yeah, still missing. Thanks for having us, Plate. Hey, be quiet. Shut up. Shut up, Plate. Jesus Christ. But they're big. They're big plates. Look at that. Look, and the cutlery's large. Look at that. That. How do I point it? Look at that fork. It's like almost the size of my head. Maybe a title. Maybe we have to climb a stalk to get to this dishwasher. Yeah. You know, if you climb a stalk with giants. I wonder if they ever like tested that scientifically to see if that's true. Just gone up to see if there's any. No.
Well, we've got a week to try it ourselves.
Every week before the show, me and Kevin sit down and we like write a few topics in the news that we can cover. Do you want to do them in order? We've got here. See, yeah, Kevin was telling me at the start of the podcast, he's like, the Aboriginal, I'm like, yeah, what happened there? And he's like, what? I don't watch SMH or anything. Like I don't check the news.
Well, it's like it's always like Twitter and stuff. People are just going nuts like the people who don't like Abbott. But this was kind of messed up. The bloke was he was in the radio and those calls coming through, and this old lady like 60 or 70 or all these budget cuts. I can't make enough money. I have to work as a phone set doctor.
Okay.
So when she said that, like, the whole thing was like they screen the calls, but then if they can't like drop the call, you just see the drop it. So you look at the radio video, that's as she said that, you know, inside, meaning like, so I got this one got leave online.
Right.
So everyone just like took that bit out of context and was like, oh, yeah, it's like an old lady who works on a sex farm.
Oh yeah,
and they
right.
They blew it out of proportion and just like maybe talking. I'm actually surprised that he did that.
Yes, it does sound unfair.
He said later on, he said, I realised it was wrong, but now that taking out the context, I'm being more focused on the caller and less on the second stuff. But I mean, I'm fine.
I wouldn't make a big deal about it. I mean, again, from what I know of Abbott, I'm not a huge fan, but that doesn't mean I have to hold against him like every single thing he does. Some things should be let go. Okay, alright. Well, it's a quick topic. We better draw the next one out. But fortunately, the next one I think we're going to be able to talk about for quite a bit.
Unfortunately.
I mean, I'm sure most people have seen the story, but who should give the breakdown of the...
Oh, so we're going to make off and go for some
I mean, yeah, spree shooter, a spree killer. Yep. I think, yeah, 8, something like that. It was below 10, it was above 5. I think it might be 6 to 8. Funny that, yeah, I read because he, like, stabbed death, like, a few people in the top. It's kind of fun. I mean, again, I'm not making a point about this, but it's just slightly interesting that, one of the groups that really picked up on it is feminists. What the reason he did it. Which, by the way, can I make a point about this? This just goes to show, look, if a little creepy guy comes up to you and takes a woman, maybe you should have sex with him. Yeah, because otherwise, look what happens. You know? It's the main thing to take away from it.
Yep.
I shouldn't be flippant. I mean, people are dead, so we should be... I shouldn't be making crass jokes like that. But, it's interesting that feminists have really been picking up on it, like, look at, like, this is an example of what, like, male entitlement or whatever leads to. It's like, come on, he's insane. Like, it's not really... doesn't really have much... Yeah, you can't pin it to any broader societal issue.
You had a whole bunch of videos on social media, like, a few of them were directly...
Yeah. So that's definitely where he found, like, where he vented. That's like what he was talking about and stuff. But again, like, saying it's a broader societal issue. Like, I saw one thing because I was reading a lot of comments on blogs, and this blogger who was kind of taking that angle was saying, like, I've had people write in saying, "Oh, he's insane." You can't say he's insane. You're not a psychiatrist. There's no proof of that. Well, there is some proof. Like, if you watch that video, I mean. Did you see the main one? One that's been taken down a few times? Okay. Well, that's a good principled stance to take. Personally, I can't help myself. So I watched it, and man, he's like, "You will all pay because you're inferior."
But apparently that, especially that, was taken from he plays World of Warcraft RPG game.
Is that with the...
Yeah, and that was the dude's voice, and like he was saying stuff about like body of skulls or mountain skulls, and all that was just taken from there.
Yeah.
His dad was a movie director.
He was an assistant director on Hunger Games.
Dude, just like even in his fantasy world where there's video games and there's movies and he makes a script, so you put that to a manifest.
How hard would it be? I mean, like, the parents of the people who have been killed, that would be hard enough, but imagine being the parent of, like, a kid like that who goes out and... because his family seemed totally normal. But from I don't know a ton of the family, but from what you see, like, they seem like a totally like.
So what it is, you got this rich white kid who no one pays attention to, and things like because he has all these assets, people should pay attention to. Right, unfortunately, like that was his outlet where people do art or they do these different things to get those kind of things out of the system. He just chose to fuck that up.
But in this instance, Rick was like a middle lower class kid. No matter who you are, like people, people have these psychological defects, these kind of self-images of grandeur that like no one else notices or whatever. I think at a point it becomes very like very environmental. It really is.
But apparently they
Oh yeah, the cops. I didn't read that much of that part, but the cops like cheated on him like a couple weeks ago or something. Yeah, I read that too.
And the dogs
Yeah. It's the first time recently we've done it. Right.
That's not the issue.
Yeah, right. He would have. And if he hadn't purchased those guns legally, you would have found a legal way to get them. If you're set on killing a bunch of people, you tend to do it. I don't want to revisit an old debate, but on the flip side of that, you can say yes, but as a nation, like with Australia, if you actually ban the guns, and that is not the case. But that's not really going to happen in America. I don't think gun control is going to do a lot. You just actually ban it. Yeah. Good bit. Get me a job. yeah. Yeah, it's good bit. But I don't know. It's what was I going to say?
What do you do, boys? They make this is like a big headline thing because of the
One thing that was interesting is the first mass killer that I know of who prior was very active on the internet.
Yes.
He was on forums and everything, and like, we actually have posts for it. First time I remember anything like that.
It's kind of eerie that his bus page is still there. Like, you just look through all these shit. Like,
oh, really?
Chronologically, when you post it, you see gradually getting worse. And
wow,
shit.
right.
It's fucked up. And what's even more fucked up is like there was no one commenting on it. He had no friends. But now, like, everyone's like, you go and read half that shit.
Right. Yeah. Well, I can imagine. Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing. And I was reading an article that you had the physical crime scene, which is always a thing, but now it's stretched on beyond to the social media thing. Where, they'll take a snapshot of the social media outlets, and that becomes part of the crime scene as well. Crazy jumps.
It's times we live in, man. It's the new digital age. Our crimes are going to the internet. Everything's going to the internet.
I guess it's the same thing like before someone throwing an IRA or whatever that become it. So now like
you know what? Another thing that's kind of slightly similar, not really, but remember Virginia Tech when that was only happening in 2006 or whatever? But the guy there, again, he was Mr. Oh, there was another thing. I felt guilty because when I was watching the video of the killer, even though I knew that within 24 hours a bunch of people were going to die after this, I couldn't help but laugh at the like he's just a silly little man. Same with no, it's Yin something Cho, the guy who ended up massacring Virginia Tech. His shit is undeniably just funny when you look at the stuff he wrote in college. Even though you know that this is a guy who's going to go on to kill 20 people, I challenge you to read his plays, his short plays, and not laugh.
Was it related to the events that unfolded?
Oh, there's random violence and shit. Really? But you know what would be funny? If we got it up and we did a cold reading of it, but that would be going into too much. But there's two of them. One is Mr. It's named after a Guns N' Roses song, but I'm not a huge fan of Guns N' Roses, so I can't remember. Mr. Something. And then there's another one called Richard McBeef. And Richard McBeef is the funnier of the two, although the other one is still pretty funny. How to describe it?
This is the name of the place?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to describe. So Richard McBeef is basically like a stepdad arguing with his stepkid. And it's like, dad walks in and he's like, hi, son. And he's like, hi, dick. He's like, I told you to call me dad, not like, what, your name's Richard, that means you're called Dick. And then like, I think at some point someone pulls out a chainsaw because the kid like accuses the dad of molesting him. And then like, the mother's like, oh, she said something really funny, like, my poor pooey boy or something like.
Yeah, right.
And she gets a chainsaw and like chases the dad out. And then, like, I think the kid gets, like, a burger or something and, like, stuffs it down the stepdad's face and, like, chokes him. You can watch, like, reenactments online. People have, like, played it out. But the dialogue is ridiculous. The situations are absurd. And, like, he wasn't writing it, ironically. Like, he really thought it was...
Was he...
not awful.
Yeah, was he, like, slow in learning, or...?
He was technically very smart, but English was
really?
not his thing. In fact, I watched a documentary about him a while ago, and I think, like, kind of the beginning of the end for him, like, he went from an English major, and to teach him down, I was just like,
yeah,
no,
about that.
like, yeah, go back to algebra. What was my point with that? Like, even though, like, it should be really disturbing to read that shit and know that again on, like, or whatever, it's undeniably pretty funny. When someone just that awkward.
Yeah, it's always like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the show guy made videos about, like, just talking. Again, that's kind of weird. What? Weird speech. Anyway, that's probably enough to talk about Max for now. But tune in next week, because I'm sure there'll be another shooting we can talk about. Now,
it leads me kind of in a strange way to a perfect segue for this week's movie review.
Kevin's movie review. Boom, boom, boom.
And this week I have a foreign film, documentary/film, which is called Bus 174 in its English title. So it was it's about a real event that happened in Brazil. So just a quick overview on what actually happened was this dude hijacked a bus, like a stationary bus, and there was, I think, 6 or 7 people on board, and
Right.
he had a pistol.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden the police and the cameras start coming in. So there's so many cameras around there that they don't want to kill him. This is all true. So he's walking up and down the bus for like hours, just like tormenting these people that he's done. Even though all the snipers and the rage and lights, they couldn't do it because it was being live streamed, and they didn't want to seem like they're the ones who stood.
Right.
So time goes on. He's basically saying, I want, give me a driver, grenades, and shotguns. Otherwise, at 6 o'clock, I'm going to start killing these people.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they're not going to give him more firepower. So 6 o'clock comes around. He puts a t-shirt over this girl's face and puts her on the ground. And it says, it's 6 o'clock, you haven't got my shit. Like, I'm going to turn the heat up. Like, shoots her.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah. So at that point, it's like, well, he's killing hostages. Like, what you should do is get the fuck on that bus and, like, shut him down. And they don't do it, again, because they don't want to be seen on live television killing this dude.
Right.
So this is, like, totally graphic to this point, and it's all, like, real footage, because the law enforcement didn't keep the magazines and the journalists and all that away, so you've got people's actual footage from the cameras of this shit going down. Then the story kind of unwinds a bit, and he didn't actually kill the girl, but when people aren't when he's not yelling out the window, he's saying, just pretend like it's worse than it is and I'm not going to kill you guys.
Right.
So he puts her on the ground, he says, I'm not going to shoot you, just pretend you're dead. And he says to everyone else, scream and start yelling that this girl's dead. So he like shoots next to her and everyone thinks he's... And then like... So
I like this guy.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's a, like, I'm not going to say he's a smart dude, but what he did was, it was kind of well planned out.
He's a compassionate terrorist.
Yeah, okay, so if we go back a little bit, at the time he was high on glue and cocaine, right? But what's interesting about the story and why you kind of feel for the subject of the story is when he was six years old, his mother got stabbed in front of him, like a few times with a knife, and she wasn't dead, and like she fell over and the knife pushed in like right in front of him. He had no dad and no family, so he became part of the street kids, or they call like the invisible kids. It's basically just kids that have no family, no nothing, and they just they get together and they live in places. Like homeless basically, and they try to like sell lollies and shit to make money, and then they start robbing people to make money and all this. So one night they got into a conflict with the cops. So the cops go, we're gonna fuck you guys up. They come back when everyone's sleeping and they get these big rocks and just like drop them on their heads. This is graphic shit, right?
Right.
So the cops are killing like his friends that he grew up with, like the only family he knew. So now he's on the bus and he's flipped the script and he's like, now you killed all my people and now I'm in control. This shit plays like, the whole thing is like goosebumps and shit. Like,
wow.
If you're in for kind of getting perspective on...
Is it subtitled or is it dubbed?
It's in Portuguese, it's subtitled with English.
Okay.
On screens. But this really puts in perspective like the shit that goes on in these like third world countries and stuff. And how like I was saying last week that Australians in particular need to like kind of count their blessings for what they got.
Yeah.
You check this shit out, you see how the law enforcement and the government officials and all that act in this kind of shit. It's fucked. They go into the jails and that's even more fucked. Where no one gives a motherfucker about these guys because they're like the invisible kids, so no one even cares. No one knows they're in there. Man, it's if you can handle it, like if you're not squeamish and you want to open your eyes to a bit of what's going on in the world, this is a real story.
Yep.
Plus 174.
And the big question, Kevin.
Yep.
How many John Stamos would you give it?
How many John Stamos? It deserves 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of not hitting the peak, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Okay. Why the 0.5?
Because I don't like to say something's the best thing that's ever happened.
But are there any movies you give it to? Because like, for me, it's like you say the 10 for like a few. Like I give Goodfellas a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I give Pulp Fiction a 10 out of 10. There's like three or four that I give a 10 out of 10, and then everything else 9.5. Like, you know.
Because
not everything else, but everything else is really, really awesome. 9.5.
Like for social relevance, I'd give this a 10. But then for the art of storytelling, it wouldn't get a 10. So I don't think there's anything that could say it ticks every single box to the fullest degree, which is why I can't give a perfect score for anything. Okay. But in terms of...
Can you just give a perfect score for what it's supposed to be?
That's not the way I roll.
Okay.
In the sake of doing fulfilling the purpose of the documentary or the feature, 10 out of 10.
Now...
I've got to give it a 9.5.
Okay, alright, 9.5. Sweet. The highest score you can get on the Kevin Dreyberg scale.
I have high standards.
So essentially a 10.
Yeah.
Now, again, coming back to the order of the topics you put down, we didn't plan this out very much because you've got something in between and then you've got my movie review. Surely it would be better just to do my movie review after yours to kind of keep it in, or is there a reason you want to?
I was kind of keeping on the macabre, like the death kind of thing.
Well, if you want to do this next story first, then
let's do it real quick.
All right.
Because I want to kind of keep it uplifted and light. So let's send the balloons down. Shit, it's a nice story. Again, goosebumps, but good feels on this one. So let's just grind it to a halt and say a 5-year-old died of cancer. That sucks, right? But his funeral was a superhero themed funeral. So all his family rocked up wearing like Batman and Flash and all this shit.
Oh, the parents got
and they made it a really nice event, which I thought was a nice send off to an innocent kid.
Do you reckon it actually would have been fun being there though? Because they would have been like, oh, Superman and Batman.
that would suck.
Yeah,
that would be the worst.
Well, I mean, if you putting your 5-year-old kid on the ground, like it'd be hard to.
But he was slowly dying, so they kind of
they accepted the fact before they had to bury him.
I guess I'm skeptical that it was
Apparently
really a
from
nice
all
event.
reports, I wasn't there.
It was a good thing to be at.
Yeah, it was a good event.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there just for the pluses it's got. And onto your movie review.
Yep, we better stretch this out because we're at the half-hour mark. We don't have much left on the sheet. We should have put more things down, but that's okay.
We can talk about the subject of this.
I've got quite a lot to say about this. So I've got a movie review.
Yep.
Again, Kevin's movie review is an ongoing. Every week you're going to have one.
Mm-hmm.
Matt's movie review, it's when I, or TV review, it's when I got something, but only when I got something. But this week I got something.
Preach.
Watch the Armstrong Lie. It's a documentary about Lance Armstrong and his deceit.
Yep.
Now, okay, 1,000,001 people could make documentaries about Lance Armstrong, but the reason this one stands out is that the dude who made it started making it about Lance Armstrong's comeback.
Yeah, right.
You know, a few years ago, he's like, I'm going to do it and I'm going to prove that I still got it. And then he actually had some pretty subpar results. So it started as a documentary.
Was the subpar result the controversy?
No.
Oh, he just started losing.
Okay. And that's kind of what set people off, because people were like, that's a dramatic drop in results.
Right.
Like age and everything, but it's funny now that the drugs are out of like the question. I mean, allegedly drugs are always out of the question, but now that you can't get past the cheats, can't get past the test or whatever, you can't cheat the test, it's funny that he's not winning anymore, and that kind of like sparked more and more kind of concern and interest, and like he says that if he didn't do it, he probably never would have been caught. It's probably true. Anyway, so he started doing about that, so he's got like behind the scenes interviews and stuff, and like behind the scenes kind of goings on with Lance Armstrong, with his comeback, and then when all the shit breaks, he goes on Oprah, then he also filmed him into that, so you got like back and forth. That's the edge that this director has, like, you know.
So Armstrong was still on board and still giving content when the shit was going down.
Yeah.
Man of his word.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I forget, maybe like the documentary was kind of scrapped, and then like when the things broke out, it got called back, I forget. But yeah, the thing that it has over any other documentary could make is that they have first-hand access to him before and after. Anyway, that's not the main thing I want to touch on. I've always been a bit of a Lance Armstrong apologist.
Yep.
You came to my comedy show last year, had a Lance Armstrong bit. Thank you. It did well. Again, my material is a lot stronger usually than that thing I did at the start of the thing. I'm just a new thing I'm working on. We'll just have to see how that goes. But you know, I've always been a Lance Armstrong apologist. This documentary just made me like him more.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, seriously, like, okay, because my point has always been that, look, Lance Armstrong had cancer, like, from his head to his fucking toes cancer, like, you see pictures of him, he's on his deathbed, well, eventually not his deathbed, but he looks like he's dead, like, you know, he looks like a zombie, and he ended up coming back, and he won the Tour de France 7 times in a row, while taking steroids. Like, it's still impressive, you know? Like, yeah, and like, watching this documentary, like, before I was just saying that, because I didn't even, like, follow sports, that was just my broad opinion. But it's different when you see some of the shit he did, man. There's this one moment they had, like, I imagine, like, cycling enthusiasts know it's probably, like, a legendary clip, where, like, he's on a bike and he gets knocked or something, he falls off the bike, you know, scrapes his ankle, whatever, people overtake him. He gets back on the bike, fucking drives his bike, like, across the field, like, doesn't stay on the road, like, he drives it, like, across the field on the grass, to get, like, in front of everybody, and then, like, you know, he gets in front and he's, like, fucking winning the race, and it's like, oh, he was on EPO, right, so I guess he sucks now, I guess that's not really that impressive, after all, like, and especially when you factor in
everyone else is on the smack.
Everyone else is on the smack as well, and that's not a minor point.
No.
To me, that... Like,
and one of the things that that he got pinged for was that he was selling to other people. So if he was selling it, they were using it.
Yeah, right. The other thing as well is that, like, thinking, like, yeah, like, oh, well, you put yourself up as a hero, you know, everyone else being on it is no excuse. It's a pretty good excuse. Like, put it this way, okay, he's in a position where it's like, he knows he's really good, but these other people who, you know, before doping really got big, like, he was wiping the floor with them, or at least kind of, like, competitive with them. And now they're just like, phew. And so he's facing a dilemma where it's like, okay, either I play ball and I take the EPO and I start blood doping or transfusing or whatever, and I become like a champion and one of the most admired people potentially in the world, or I fade away into obscurity and no one ever knows my name because I played by the rules.
Yep.
Now, the latter decision is a more moral one, no doubt, but it's like a godly decision. Like, you can't get on a pedestal and be like, when someone doesn't make a godly decision.
Yep.
Like, I'd like to think I'd be the guy who's like, no, it's wrong, I'll fade into obscurity, I won't get the millions of dollars. Principle. I'd like to think I'd be like that. I don't know if I'd be like that.
No.
Would you? I don't know.
I wouldn't, especially because if that was all he knew, so presumably he would have been training for this for a long time. You can't just go, I'm going to become a banker.
That's the other thing I like about Lance Armstrong as well, is that they were pointing out that he's all about winning at all costs, and they were like,
evidently,
and they were like, Lance Armstrong, when he decides to cheat, he'll be like, I'm a cheat to the fullest. I'm gonna go, and I actually kind of like that. Like, that's not. Overall, that's not the kind of trait I like. I don't, like, if I could pick any value to have, I wouldn't pick the value of just winning at all costs and just, like, must win.
Yep.
I prefer kind of level-headedness and, kindness and whatever. However, that sort of drive and that particular asset, it's something that, like, I'd like to have a bit of sometimes. There's like occasions for it that fucking win at all costs, no excuses.
Yep.
And so if I'm ever like in a situation where
what would Lance do?
Yeah, exactly. If I've got a big challenge in front of me and it seems like everything's against me, I'll be like, what would Lance do? Yeah. He's the personification of resilience.
Yeah.
And so I still think after everything, he's someone to be admired.
I do too. I honestly do as well.
Yeah, in some ways, again, almost because of the cheating in a way. Because he just, like, no matter how much evidence stacked up to him, no matter how much everyone didn't believe him and all evidence was against him, to the bitter end, until he could not cling on at all, he, like, duked it out. And in a way, you can admire that. Yeah. There's something to be admired in that quality. There's another thing sorry, I'm ranting, but I've got a lot to say about this.
Speak.
Another thing in the documentary where you are, like, again, at least me, I was like, yeah, damn right, Lance. Fuck this bullshit. Was, he's at his, like, home or whatever.
And while he was there, he was...
I'm just taking a pause. I can take a dramatic pause.
Okay.
He's with his girls, and, I guess he's in competition at the time, so you know how they spot check you?
Right.
So, like, the French Federation of whatever come over and, like, okay, take a piss for us, bring it out, take some blood, we'll take some blood from you. He's like, alright, no problem, guys. Like, he's all kind of, like, very hospitable about it. There's, like, American Federation of blah, blah, blah. Alright, go, take a piss, get some blood. Yeah. By, like, Federation number 5, like, literally, like, in a 48-hour period, he starts to be like, he's like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. Like, my daughters are here, seriously, do we have to do it 5 times in 48 hours? Is this really necessary? And I'm like, no, Lance, it's not necessary. The least they could do, the federations could, share and go like, okay, we'll coordinate, we'll get our samples on this day and you get the other. In front of his kids, man. I mean, in front of his kids once, alright, but... poor Lance Armstrong.
Yeah. And he did a lot of good work with his well fortunes.
Absolutely.
He's lived strong and all that.
And again, if I had cancer, all odds against me, I'm like, well... Lance Armstrong had cancer, probably way worse than I've got it, and he won the Tour de France 7 times in a row while taking steroids.
Exactly.
Maybe I could win the Tour de France 7 times in a row while taking steroids, or at least,
Yep.
It's still an inspiring story with the steroids in there.
It is, absolutely. And you kind of think as well, let's say it was something worse than doping. Let's say he started killing off his competitors.
Yeah, okay.
But he won all this money and then he pumped that money back into cancer research and he saved more people than he killed. Then is that a wrong thing?
Yeah, I'd say it is. But,
he damn himself. I don't know.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Sometimes.
I guess I have been saying that two wrongs sort of make a right for the whole thing, but it stops at killing human beings.
That's the line.
Yeah. That's when two wrongs don't make a right.
No, but see what I mean on this scale, that if he did all this stuff to cheat himself, he kind of found his retribution by helping other people and stuff. Just let him go. Again,
look, yeah, the fact that everyone else was doing it, again, that's not a small point. people say that, and people like shrug it off, like that's not the point. To me, that's kind of the point. If everyone else is doing it, then it's equaled out. Bill Burr's got a nice succinct line. Our roided up guy beat your roided up guy. Like, get over it.
Yep.
Truth.
Yep.
Truth. You know, I think I read like a study or something, like they were saying that if the Tour de France jersey went to the next person in line who's confirmed to not have done any drugs, it would be like number 38.
Well,
or whatever. Like something, I'm pulling that number out of my ass, but it's something pretty high.
Out of a bigger pool?
Like, out of all the people who have tested positive.
Oh, right.
It's like, first place is positive, so second, third, fourth, fifth, down to like 38 or whatever is clean.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
As if like no one was on drugs, number 38 would have been number 1. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say. I guess the distinction is between the athlete and the person. That a doped up athlete is playing his role, but as a person, you'd want to play by the rules. So there's a way off there.
Anyway, if any of you lard asses out there are still sitting on your couch, fucking scoffing at Lance Armstrong, why don't you do some blood transfusions and take some EPO and see if you can win the Tour de France?
Yeah. And if you can, just tweet us in and let us know your results.
Sweet.
On that, I don't know why, but I was watching a documentary on this a long time ago, but the way he administered drugs was to like bloodlet himself and then pump other blood which has the junk in it.
Yeah, isn't it like...
It wasn't as simple as just like syringing it.
Yeah.
Like it was a full thing where they like exchange blood and shit.
It
was crazy. And he'll do that on the road. They'll be like in a van on the side of the road. He'd be like retopping up his blood and shit.
Yeah. That's
nuts. Like, there's commitment. And you can't hide that shit.
It gets pretty crazy with competitive sportsmen. They'll do a lot to win.
How much money is there in bush bike racing?
I don't know. In general, I mean, Lance Armstrong's an exception because of the cancer thing. You know, he was like American hero, so he got sponsorships from like everybody. Yep. I guess for the average champion, I don't know, a few million.
A race, like
more than I have on me.
But it's not like golf, tennis kind of level.
I don't know. I assume not, because like cycling is only one big event, the Tour de France. Yep. There's other marathons, I'm sure, but like there's only one like really big international event.
So basically, you need to win it. You need to fucking be on par
to be like the millionaire guy. I'm talking totally out of my ass, but I just imagine for cyclists, you know, how many cyclists do you see in advertisements for McDonald's and shit? Isn't that wrong that McDonald's gets sports stars so much? It's like the most unathletic food. Yeah. We had some cyclists in New Zealand who did shitloads of McDonald's stuff. How do you sleep at night?
Yeah, you can see why McDonald's do it, because they want to counter the... Well, you guys don't do anything about...
It's almost like they're rubbing it in your face, though. It's almost highlighting it as opposed to countering it. Because the irony is so clear.
But then what do they do if they start to sponsor, like, the other side of the spectrum? Shit that makes sense, and it's like...
Get, like, Fat Albert.
Yeah, or, like, Lazy Boy recliners or something.
Yeah.
You can't do that shit either. Another sports thing that I noticed, this dude... He was like up and coming into the Major League Baseball. Like, I don't think he's been drafted yet or whatever, but his first home run in the go-to league, he smacks it out of the park. His first ever home run. Mm-hmm. Who catches it once it leaves the park? His dad in the crowd caught his son's first home run.
Oh, no shit.
Out of like everyone, it just went straight to him. He just like didn't have a mitt or anything. He just got it.
Moment.
Ain't
no
that
gods.
Something?
Yeah, that's great.
Something, man.
Hey, is Tiger Woods doing alright these days? I keep seeing like Tiger back in the game. Tiger eats shit. Tiger killing it. Tiger getting killed. Like it's always.
It's about this Adam guy at the moment. I don't know too much about golf, but
I don't know anything about golf either.
Adam is making headlines. I don't know what Tiger's doing.
What do you think of Tiger's scandal? Did you think he deserved the kind of fallout he got from that, or it should have been like what happens in the bedroom?
Exactly. If it's not while you're doing your sport, don't give a fuck about it.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Like, you can say he's not a good person, I don't like him, but you can't say he doesn't belong in the sport for doing stuff that has nothing to do with the sport.
Yeah.
His sponsors want to drop him and stuff, that's because of his character traits. You can't kick him out or like belittle him as an athlete.
So it
As a
doesn't.
man, maybe, but not an athlete.
And if anything, it did his wife a favor because like she got, God, like how much money? Like isn't he worth like $1 billion close to or something?
Oh, well, yeah.
He's like worth like 500 million at least, and like she gets 250.
Yeah, right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
She didn't do anything. Like you shouldn't get that much money just for being cheated on.
Like this dude,
It should be capped. It should be capped at like 10 million.
yeah.
I've heard that like even prenups don't even actually do that. Prenups are very like you can go back and be like, oh yeah, but he did this and that, so prenup.
I know. I think if they're written up right, then it can work. But I was for some reason there was a piece on the highest celebrity divorce settlements, or like the 50-50 split. This Russian dude was worth like billions and billions of dollars, and he's I think like 9 billion, and his wife got 4.5 billion.
Wow.
And then per month, $125,000 for child support. Like, what's going on?
What are your kids doing?
What do you need that much money for? And once you have it, why do you need this much? Like, it's really just like ripping off this dude.
Yeah.
So prenup.
Alimony. What is? Yeah, why doesn't anybody like? If you're Tiger Woods, why would you not get a prenup? Especially when you're marrying a trophy wife, because Ellen Nordegen or whatever, she looks like a trophy wife.
Yep. I guess at the time you don't want to be like, oh, I love you so much. How about you sign this?
Think.
But you should.
Just be
Absolutely.
like, look, honey, I love you. I plan to be with you the rest of my life, but look at the stats.
Yep.
And I'd just be like humorous about it. Like, you're not taking half my shit, all right? You're staying with me, or you're leaving me, and you're getting like, I don't know. I'll give you a nice payout, so you can be all right for like a couple of years. But I'm not giving you half. I mean, me personally, like, I'm like that Chris Rock routine where he's like, if you get $20 million and you get divorced, you still got $10 million. But if you make 30,000 and she want 15, you might have to kill her. I'm kind of like that. Like I wouldn't want to get in anything. I'm a poor man.
It's it's a strange situation where just because you're with somebody and they're making the money that you're entitled to, like it still works the same. Say you're a couple, the dude works, the girl doesn't work, but you have no kids.
Mm-hmm.
So basically she's sitting around watching Oprah all day.
And get the fuck out.
Why is she still entitled to half of his money when he could be doing that by himself?
She's not.
Cut that shit out.
Hey, what was our biggest demographic? Woman, underage, yeah.
Women, go for it.
Woo!
Take him for all he's worth.
Hey! Alright,
I think the demographic talk kind of gets thrown in with the trash when we have only 2 viewers per week.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So whoever's watching...
And 2 of those are
our
us.
demographic.
We got 4 and 2 of them were us.
Yep.
Yeah.
So our demographic is...
Those 2 people, who the fuck they are.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing watching this?
Whoa, I just had a weird inception moment then.
What?
Because I'm watching it and I just heard... Anyway.
Oh, right. Right. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, whoever you are. Oh, actually, no news on that front.
Yep.
We should have a new audio podcast listener. Henry, who's been mentioned before on the show toward the start.
Yeah.
He's got to walk more, so he's like, hey,
He's holding in there.
hit me up. He's like, Matt, is it on iTunes? I'm like, yeah, it is.
What up, Henry? If you're listening right now, so,
Thanks for the support, bro.
shout out to you and put a smile on your face, courtesy of Fiog.
Tell your friends. Tell your friends.
It ain't a game.
Alright, hit me up with this other topic.
Okay, so I saw this thing, and you're gonna have to excuse me because I do want to get the name of the group, but it's a girl band, like a boy band kind of thing, but a girl band obviously called I don't know what it's called. Japanese girl band. Let's not worry about what they're called. But this is the idea about it. So how they make boy bands, like those shows where you go on there and you audition and shit.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of spin-off on that, but what they do is it's a bunch of producers, so they make songs, they write the songs, they write the lyrics, they put it all together, and then they have a pool of artists. So the in this case, all Japanese girls, and whoever the most popular girls are get put into this pool of artists, and then they have a song ready to go. They look at the most popular 5, like the most liked 5 out of that pool,
Right.
put them on a song, release a song. So it's like like if Backstreet Boys just had it like a rotating roster. So the girls, they need to keep up public appearances, and they need to. This is one thing that got me. So if they become involved, like if they have a boyfriend,
Yeah.
they get kicked out because they're not desirable anymore. So it really is like
those Japanese, man.
It's crazy. It's a different world. So it really is like they have to be as nice to the fans as possible and look the best and everything. Otherwise, they're not going to get the top spot and become these songs which are so lucrative when they come out. So these two girls who were trying to get the public's affection went to like a signing to meet the fans, and this old dude, jumps out of the crowd with a handsaw, and runs at them, and like apparently got one on the hands and the other one, like there weren't major cuts, but a fucking dude with a saw is attacking these pop idols. That's far.
Saw, Jesus.
That's
don't do that.
Talk about crazy people. That shit. But I wanted to bring that up because I think that idea of that system where it's like manufactured pop to the extreme. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And people know that's what it is. These are the most popular people. They get on this song. They had nothing to do with the song. They get like 2 hours in the studio. Someone gives them lyrics. It's their time in the sun. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And you have backlash when like boy bands like Spice Girls is a good boy band. Like there's manufactured groups that like people are like, that's not real music.
Well, that's one of the worst. That's one of the worst things to happen in entertainment in some time. I think is the idea of insta fame. Because the thing is, like with those American Idol, not with say pop stars. Do you remember pop stars? It was like pre-American Idol.
That Bardot.
Yeah. That was ours.
Yep.
New Zealand actually led the charge with that one. We were the first to do it. And then like there was Australian pop stars, and then there was like England pop stars and Irish pop stars, and those were bigger, but ours was the first.
Yep.
That was more about image, like the Spice Girls. Like they might be able to sing okay, but only okay. With American Idol, it's different because, everyone who wins American Idol is always very, very talented. You know, they've got very good vocal range. But there's something, I think, that gets into a performer's voice that affects their tone, the way they resonate.
Yep.
If they organically climb the ladder and, like, bit by bit, kind of, you know, you can hear it.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, whether it's like, if it's just like, go on a stage, oh yeah, you win this round, that round, oh, you won the competition, and now we'll give you a big record deal and put you on all movie stations, and everyone will buy your album because they saw the show, and they're like, oh, the album's out, I like you on the show. It's just kind of handed to you. I mean, it's not totally handed to you because you had to win the competition, which isn't easy, there's a lot of competition, but, like, you didn't struggle for years.
From the point, exactly.
You know.
Exactly. But this is, it's different again because, the songs, like the final product it's not even them singing. Like you ever listen to like the K-pop and like the this Pop Asia show, which I watch every fucking week. It's dope. Just for the sake of it. It's so manufactured craziness. It's like everything's auto-tuned. Everything's like spliced up. And, like the talent is the people who record it, the people who produce it and shit. It's not the people that you see on the screen, but they're like the selling point.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, it could be anybody like delivering the lyrics or whatever.
Yeah.
So from that angle, I can kind of see that they want to get the prettiest faces or the most likable people, whatever, because ultimately it's going to sell them more records.
Yeah.
But it's just.
What do you think of pretty faces in music and movies?
I like pretty faces.
Do you like? Because I don't know how I feel about that. It's like, would I want to see an ugly person in a movie? I mean, there are ugly actors, but predominantly it goes to good-looking people, and like. You could be like, oh, that's so unfair, but at the same time, on a visceral sense, maybe don't we kind of enjoy looking at better-looking people? Even if it's like a man and I'm a heterosexual guy watching a good-looking guy, it's like I prefer to see Brad Pitt on a screen as opposed to Gilbert Gottfried or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I don't know, because if it doesn't fit the role, it's kind of hard to do.
Mm.
So if you have like a street hoodlum played by George Clooney, you're not going to buy it.
You could if he had like a beard and like
that movie,
he gave me a haircut.
Charlize Theron.
Oh, Monster.
Yeah.
That pissed me off because it felt like she won the Oscar because she wore makeup like an ugly woman. It's like, wow, like
that's not
yeah. Are you so pretty but you're so ugly in the film? Good work. It's like, well, it's makeup department.
Exactly.
Win the Oscar. No, I mean, I'm sure her performance. I'm sure her performance. I'm sure her performance is great, but I don't know. I don't know if she would have won the Oscar had it not been for the. Yeah, wearing blackface. Hey, that's another thing I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
I was telling you before I watched John Oliver's new show, which I've still been sticking with, but it's a little bit... They had a segment a couple of weeks ago that annoyed me. It was like, time for This Is Still a Thing, and like, they ran a bunch of clips of people in the news, like, dressing up like in ponchos and stuff for the Mexican holiday, Cinco de Mayo. And they had Charlize Theron darkening her skin to dress up like a character on a TV show, so like blackface. Yeah. And it was all about like dressing up like other races, still a thing. Really, society? Come on. Who cares?
Exactly.
Like with, I mean,
you're dressing as a person. You're not dressing as a race.
There's an exception, which is like full on like minstrel show blackface, because there's like a historical context to that. Yeah, but I mean, aside from that, like just dressing and like
you want to go as Charles Barkley. You're not going to be a white Charles Barkley. You need to.
Yeah, it's Asian themes. So you wear a kimono, like fine.
Yep, no problems with that.
Fine. Yeah, I just think that's knee jerk liberal bullshit.
This might tickle your fancy. You know those Mr. Magoo cartoons?
Yeah.
So I bought like a box set of like. Don't judge me for it. I like watching it, but his sidekick, the Asian dude. So
I forget that detail.
Like he's like typical, like not typically like.
Is he like really like ho Mr. Magoo, like that kind of thing? Right.
Exactly. That's how he was.
Yeah.
But on these ones, they've redubbed the voice.
No way.
So, it's crazy. So it's just like these, like.
But it's okay if it was back at the time it was acceptable, and like now you have it like Little Black Sambo.
Yep.
If someone put out Little Black Sambo right now, you'd be like, dude, not cool.
Yep.
Well, but it's still okay to have Little Black Sambo because it was written in the 30s or 40s or whatever, so it's all right. Yep. But you just can't do it now. That's all.
Exactly. What about that Lone Ranger movie?
The one with Johnny Depp, like just like an Indian. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
I guess.
But again, he's playing the character. He's not playing. He's not.
Do you remember the Mr. Magoo movie, the live action one?
Yes, with Steve Martin.
I don't think it was. I don't think it was Steve
Nielsen.
Martin.
One of those two.
Maybe, yeah.
And yes, that's dope. I love this movie.
I think it kind of would suck now if you watched it again. I think it was alright when you were a kid. No, you think the live action one's good? Maybe I need to give it another go.
It's like the Quest for the Red Ruby or something. I think it's Steve Martin or Leslie Nielsen. Those two are like the same people, right? Steve Martin and Leslie
they both got white hair, but I think Steve Martin's the more talented one. Leslie Nielsen's kind of like more of a goof.
Yep.
So it makes sense that he is Mr. Magoo, but
yeah.
Isn't Mr. Magoo bald though, or is he not bald?
Yeah.
Because Leslie Nielsen's got like a nice head of hair.
Yeah. Maybe it's someone totally different.
Do you want to quickly? Oh, we don't have much time. We'll Google after the show. We'll give you an update next week. Or maybe we won't. It's not that important.
We probably won't. Yeah. Let's face it.
Yeah, it's not a very important detail. But if you want to find out at home, just Google it. Mr. Magoo. Now, we've got a bit under 4 minutes. Do you reckon we've got enough material and Dumb and Dusted to stretch that 3 minutes out?
I'm happy with what we've given the world this week. So
plus, we have the intro and everything, so...
Yep. On to our last episode, which is a recurring piece of brilliance in the landscape, which is web TV. This is the one and the only episode we like to call...
It's old.
It's stupid.
It's no longer relevant. It's dumb and dusted. Alright, welcome back. It's time for that timer thing we do again every week, Dumb and Dusted. So...
I was going to play it again. Anyway,
alright.
Get to it.
Good animation in advance, Kevin. I'm sure it'll be great.
The graphics department working overtime here.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So this week, what is our Dumb and Dusted topic for burial?
Moats.
Moats.
Yeah.
Dumb and Dusted.
Dumb and Dusted. Look, I mean, there's just far more comprehensive and less complicated ways to have a security system, quite frankly.
Budget, electric fence.
Yep. Alarms.
Yep. Hedges.
You can even get... There's some you can get...
Guard dogs.
Yeah, you can get some of those alarms linked up to the police so they actually find out, and if you don't de-detonate them, then the police will be like, you gotta check out this property, they're great.
That's easier than a moat.
A moat's fucking mad. Like, first of all, you need to have a way of getting over the moat yourself. So if you need, like, a boat, or you need a drawbridge, which, I mean, that's gonna cost a lot of money. First is the money digging up the moat and everything, and maintenance, but then getting the drawbridge and maintenance and that, that's cost. A lot of people don't even think about when they think about a moat. They don't even think about the drawbridge.
No. It always comes in after, like, you don't plan for it, and then you're like, fuck, we need a drawbridge.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets you.
And you're in an apartment.
Yep.
Imagine if you wanted to get
That
a
would
moat.
be impractical.
That would be so difficult.
Yep.
You need to like go to all your neighbors and tell them, look, I'm getting a moat put in,
Yeah.
and like, how's it gonna fit our house? Like, well, it's gonna be a lot of water outside your apartment, and it might be kind of annoying,
Yeah.
but now you don't need to get your own moat. So they're like, oh, I'm not so sure about this. You know, it would just be a hassle,
Yep.
particularly in an apartment building. But even in like just a normal residence,
Yeah. Dumb and dusted.
yeah.
And the main reason they had them was like to keep out invaders and stuff.
Yeah.
People don't invade shit anymore, and if they do, just baseball bat them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give them a moat. Just
Or
play
shoot them
with
if you're in America.
Yeah.
We were talking before, you got plenty of guns.
Easy.
Yeah. But moats just not necessary.
No.
No. Dumb and dusted.
Absolutely dumb and dusted.
Well,
I've enjoyed bringing this week, and
I always enjoy bringing it.
bring it. We're going to do it again next week.
So thanks
with more topics of interest.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. And fuck.
Keep it clean. Great.